Thank you, Deputy Chairman of Committees, for this opportunity to speak at today's debate. As I commence, I must bring to the notice of the House that we are debating not just a report, but an incident that happened almost 2 years ago, which took away 270-odd lives and injured, critically injured, more than 500 people in a series of bomb attacks, suicide attacks, unprecedented, not just in this country, but I would say anywhere in the world, that such coordinated attacks at different places took place within the space of a few hours, and that too on Easter Sunday. The target was clearly the Christian church. We hear today and at other times people saying that the Catholic community was harmed, and that is true. A large number of those who were killed and were injured were from the two Catholic churches that were attacked. But one must not forget that the Zion Church in Batticaloa in the eastern coast was also attacked, and a large proportion of those who died were children, because they were standing there after their Sunday school before the church service began. There are those who died and were injured in some of the attacks on hotels as well. So primarily it was an attack on the Christian church, both Roman Catholic and Protestant church. And the response of the church to this great tragedy must not be forgotten. At Kotahena, the parish priest, soon after the carnage, said, "We forgive those who led this attack," in true Christian spirit. I remember Pastor Roshan Mahesan from the Zion Church also, when he returned to the country, said the same thing. But one mustn't be confused with the Christian principle of forgiveness and justice. Justice and mercy are two eyes. They are not contradictory to each other. We are now in the season of Lent. I myself, being a Christian, am deeply conscious of the suffering and death of Jesus Christ on Good Friday. But the story did not end there. 3 days later, he rose from the dead. He died to forgive us our sins and rose again victorious, having conquered sin itself. And it is in that spirit, the crux of the Christian message is that the church was willing to readily forgive. For if we do not forgive, how can we receive forgiveness? But justice is as crucial as forgiveness itself. The cycle is not complete without justice. And that is why It is the state's responsibility to mete out justice. Governments are in place, given a task to commend those who do right and punish those who do evil. And successive governments have failed to mete out justice in this regard. I don't want to trade allegations, as has happened in the morning in this chamber. Because if we trade allegations against each other, we will be doing great injustice to those who died and those who suffered injuries, those who lost their loved ones. That should not be the task of this debate. The task of this debate is that we have had several inquiries into this matter. Have we now got to the root? In the words of the Archbishop of Colombo, Malcolm Cardinal Ranjit, have we found the mastermind of this attack? No, we haven't. I heard Honorable Mahindananda Alkamage say that Zaran is the mastermind. No, none of us accept that. His Eminence also does not accept that. That is why, after this report came, he has asked the question repeatedly, who is the mastermind? And that is why the Black Sunday protests have been started after this report came out. There is no mastermind revealed in this report. Now, this report otherwise is a good report. I must say that. They have gone into the matter at great depth. I have the other report also of the Parliamentary Select Committee, and I commend the members to read both. You might find it to be identical actually. A lot of the findings in the Parliamentary Select Committee are here in this report as well. A lot of the recommendations in the Parliamentary Select Committee report are repeated in this report as well. But neither has been able to say who coordinated these attacks, whose agenda it was to carry out these attacks. In the Parliamentary Select Committee report, in the executive summary, I'm reading from the English version, page 3, we had this to say, I quote, "The PSC makes a very serious finding in terms of the status of the state intelligence apparatus, where intelligence information known to a few was not shared with relevant parties. The PSC also observes that further investigations will be needed to understand whether those with vested interests did not act on intelligence so as to create chaos and instill fear and uncertainty in the country in the lead up to the presidential election to be held later in the year. Such a situation would then lead to the call for a change of regime to contain such acts of terrorism. Coincidentally, or not so coincidentally, the security situation and fear would be unleashed months away from the presidential election. The PSC also notes that this occurred in the context of changes in the leadership in the Sri Lankan Army and the DMI in 2019. These are extremely serious observations that can impact the democratic governance, electoral processes, and security of Sri Lanka and must require urgent action. Who stood to benefit is one question that ought to be asked. Who benefited is another question that must be asked. We all know the answer. And a further question that needs to be asked today is that after the lapse of 2 years, 2 inquiries of preliminary inquiry headed by a judge of the Supreme Court, if we say we are still unable to name the mastermind, then is there something that is being covered up? Is there something that is being covered up? How is it that on attacks that had prior information, this is not an investigation that happens after the attack, that happened with no notice to anybody? No. This is an attack that happened after due notice, with names of assailants, almost a month before, 3 weeks before at least. Written information given to the authorities. So you had prior information, you had detailed information, you had information even moments before the attack, few minutes before the attack. Several information came. All that is there in both these reports. In the Parliamentary Select Committee, we interviewed 55 persons. In the other Presidential Commission, 457 witnesses have given evidence. But after all of that, after prior information also being there, if we say we don't know who the mastermind is, there's obviously something radically wrong. The people who have suffered are not met with justice. That is the responsibility of the state. I don't want to blame this government or that government. Governments come and governments go. But the state has a responsibility to its citizens. And is Sri Lanka today telling its citizens, we don't know who the mastermind of these attacks are? We had prior information. We had names of the suicide bombers. 5 out of the 6 names were there. We didn't do a thing. We didn't share that information with anybody. How can the state ever tell its citizens this? This is a very, very serious issue. So serious that His Eminence has called for international inquiry. He's called for international. Those who said we must not allow international inquiry, we can look after our own matters, these are all domestic issues, are themselves now calling for international inquiry. Why? Because the state has failed. The state has failed in its most awesome responsibility of accountability. The state is accountable to its citizens in delivering justice. That's the highest obligation of the state towards its citizen. And the state has failed in that. I am saying this today also in the context of the sessions of the UN Human Rights Council going on, where repeatedly for 11 years the world has asked us about accountability. It started on the 26th of May 2009 when Prime Minister President Mahinda Rajapaksa at that time signed a joint communique with the Secretary General of the UN Ban Ki-moon in Kandy, undertaking to inquire into the allegations of violations at the last stages of the war. Not done for 11 years. That is why the issue will not go away. It will not go away. However much you shout from the rooftops here that this is a domestic matter, we will look after. You haven't looked after. For 11 years you haven't done it. The Catholic Church has lost patience after 2 years. His Eminence has called for international inquiry after 2 years. We have waited for 11 long years, or longer than that. How can anybody blame us for asking for international investigation international inquiry into this matter. That happens only when the